I will give a brief outline of the Supreme Court practice and procedure in this lecture. That will be given on the basis of the slide which will be displayed on the screen. Okay. Okay. See, up to 1950, India was having an appellate court, that is the federal court, up to 1950. The Privy Council was also there, of course. That means that all the appeals from the High Court used to be heard by the federal court in India. Then on the right side of this slide, Supreme Court was established under Article 124 on 28th January 1950. From that day onwards, we are having the Supreme Court of India, Supreme Court of India. In the seat of the Supreme Court of India is at New Delhi, as you are aware about that. Then each state has a high court, and the number of high courts in India as on today is 25 high courts. The oldest high court are Calcutta, Allahabad, Bombay, etc. Then the under this high court for each state, district courts, district and sessions courts are there. The district and sessions courts will hear the civil and criminal appeals, as you are aware. Then regarding the strength of Supreme Court judges, Supreme Court, there are 34 judges in the Supreme Court, including the Chief Justice of India. Then the retirement age of a Supreme Court judge is 65. The selection of the Supreme Court judges from the High Court judges and advocates having 10 years practice, and from distinguished jurists. Then normally Supreme Court will sit in 2 judges bench. Sometimes for convenience sake, they may sit 3-judge bench also will sit. And if a constitutional issue is involved in a matter, normally these 3 judges or 2 judges can recommend to the Chief Justice of India for placing this matter before the Constitutional Bench. Then the Supreme Court Chief Justice will decide whether a Constitutional Bench should be constituted as recommended by the 2 judges or 3 judges, as the case may be. This is one side of this procedure. Then regarding the type of advocates practicing in the Supreme Court, there are 3 types of categories of advocates. And senior advocates who are designated by the Supreme Court or the High Court, as the case may be, according to their standing and their ability. Supreme Court, normally Supreme Court and the High Court will designate a person as a senior advocate. Then comes the next category of advocates. They are the advocate on records. This is the continuation of the solicitors. Earlier there were solicitors. So solicitors are not there for pleading the cases. So that has been replaced by a category of advocates called advocates on records. For becoming an advocate on records, an advocate has to have 4 years of practice, either in High Court or the Supreme Court. Then 1 year practice thereafter with an advocate on record having 10 years, not less than 10 years of practice. Under him, he has to practice for 1 year. Then each year there will be an exam for the advocate on record examination. After completing the training with the advocate on record, you have to file the certificate with the registry of the Supreme Court for enrolling your name for the ensuing advocate on record examination. So this is the steps for becoming an advocate on record. 4 years starting at the bar, then 1 year practice with an advocate on record in the Supreme Court. Thereafter, you will be eligible for appearing for the advocate on record examination. Each year, there will be an exam for the advocate on record. Then this, what is the distinction? Then the third category of advocate is the advocates, other than advocate on records. Any advocate who has enrolled with the Bar Council of the state can practice in Supreme Court, but they can't file wakalat or any documents in the Supreme Court in their name. That is the distinction between advocate on record and the other advocates. Other advocates, of course, can appear in the Supreme Court along with an advocate on record, and he can argue the case when the case is taken up by the court. So if you suppose an advocate from Kollam Bar wants to file a case through an advocate on record and has to argue the case in the Supreme Court, he can come and argue the case at the time when the case is listed for argument. But he can't file the case. That is the distinction. Then the Supreme Court jurisdiction. Supreme Court has different jurisdictions. Jurisdiction in the sense, original jurisdiction is there. Then appellate jurisdiction, extraordinary jurisdiction, then advisory jurisdiction. I will explain each one. Original jurisdiction is just like a suit. Normally a suit is filed in the sub-court or other municipal court, as the case may be, depending upon the value of the suit. You will be deciding where it should be filed. Just like here, the original jurisdiction coming under Article 131. This suit has got some difference than that of the suit which you will be filing in the district court or municipal court. The exclusive jurisdiction, the exclusive original jurisdiction, one state can file a suit against another state in the Supreme Court in connection with any dispute between the government of India or one or more states. Or government of India can file a suit against another state under this article. Then 2 or more states can also file a suit against another state. This is the no other party can be a respondent or a plaintiff in this suit other than the states and the union. Only union and the state government can be parties in this suit. That is the distinction. If you want to file a suit including with a corporation, it is not possible. That has to be filed as a writ petition or a separate suit, civil suit in civil court. So this is the dispute, constitutional disputes between two states or some or a union of India. One can file suit under Article 131 in the Supreme Court. Then this other one is the Article 32 petitions. Article 32 petitions, you may be aware about that. Article 32 is going along with the Article 226 of the High Court jurisdiction. The High Court, whenever you approach the High Court, you will be filing writ petitions for enforcement of fundamental rights or any other injustice or illegality under Article 226 of the Constitution of India. But in the Supreme Court, when you approach for enforcing fundamental rights, only for enforcement of fundamental rights, you can file a writ petition under Article 32 of the Constitution of India. That is the distinction. That we will be studying this kind of distinction from the inception of the law in the law college. We will be having these questions always. What is the distinction between Article 32 and Article 226 of the Constitution of India? That is the general question always expected by the students of law colleges and other. Then comes the appeals under 132 of the Constitution, constitutional questions. If a constitutional question has arisen in an appeal, in a case decided by the High Court, a direct appeal can be filed under 132. Article 132, you can file an appeal. On 33, you can file appeals, civil appeals, in some cases, with the certificates from the High Court. And then the Article 134, criminal appeals. An aggrieved party can file an appeal from the judgment of the High Court directly under Article 134 of the Constitution within 60 days of the judgment. When these criminal matters, direct appeal can be filed by the accused to the Supreme Court if the High Court has, on appeal, reversed an order of acquittal and sentenced him to death, imprisonment for life, or for a period not less than 10 years. Suppose an appeal, the High Court has reversed an acquittal and a person has been convicted for 10 years or more, he can file a direct appeal under 134 in the Supreme Court. That is the criminal jurisdiction. Then has withdrawn for trial before itself. Suppose the High Court is withdrawing an appeal from the trial court, and thereafter the High Court convict the accused and sentenced him to death or imprisonment for 10 years. Then also you can file a criminal appeal directly to the Supreme Court. If the certificate, with the certificate also you can file. If suppose High Court is certified that this is a fit case for filing appeal before the Supreme Court, then also one can file direct appeal. Why I am saying like this? Because this High Court is the final court. According to our Constitution, High Court is the final court with regard to civil as well as criminal matters. There is no direct appeal other than this kind of appeals, which I have just now mentioned. So there is a direct appeal you cannot file against a judgment of the High Court in civil or criminal matters, because it is the final court, according to that state is concerned. So in the exceptions are just now I have explained. Then comes the extraordinary appellate jurisdiction. Just now I have explained that High Court is the final court so far as criminal and civil cases are concerned, and no appeal, direct appeal can be filed before the Supreme Court. Therefore, there is a provision, that means Article 136 of the Constitution provides some relief to the person who wants to file an appeal before the Supreme Court, even though he will not come under the exceptional categories mentioned earlier. In that case, a person aggrieved by the High Court judgment can file a special leave petition under Article 136 of the Constitution of India. What is the meaning of special leave? Meaning means you have to obtain leave of the Supreme Court before filing the appeal. That is a discretionary jurisdiction under Article 136. Court will exercise its discretion whether you should be given or the party should be given an opportunity to file an appeal against his judgment, against the judgment of the High Court in his case or not. That is why first you will file a special leave to appeal petition, and that will be taken up for hearing by this court, and they will decide whether this is a fit case to grant permission to file appeal or not. So that is the discretionary power, 136. Most of the cases are filed in Supreme Court under Article 136. Because it's all cases you will approach here with a petition, special leave petition. Whether you will get leave or not, that is another matter. In some cases, Supreme Court will decide whether it can be given leave or not. So that is a High Court, a final and civil court. 90 days is the time limit for filing an SLP. That means from the date of the judgment of the High Court, one has to approach the Supreme Court in 90 days. And even if somebody fails to approach within 90 days, one can file the special leave with a condemnation of delay application. So properly explain the delay, why he could not come at the appropriate time before the Supreme Court. So an SLP can be filed beyond the period of limitation with a condemnation of delay application. That has to be explained. Properly you have to explain the delay. What is the stages of SLP? The SLP will be listed for admission hearing. Admission hearing before normally before two judges. Supreme Court will sit. Explain that normally Supreme Court will sit in two judges bench, and therefore these special leave petitions are normally listed before two judges for hearing. If the petitioner at the time of admission listing, if the petitioner is able to establish that he has got a prima facie case for admission, then the court will issue notice to the respondents, directing the respondents to appear. If the petitioner is not able to establish on the day when the case is listed for admission, the court will dismiss that special leave petition with an onward order that SLP has been heard and dismissed. Sometimes with a short order for explaining why it is not interfering with the High Court judgment. If the notice, if notice is issued in your case, again that case will be listed for admission hearing. Notice is not admission, only 50% admission according to the Supreme Court. That is a 50% you have gone through. Then the other steps you have to go through. That again with the respondent's counsel or respondent, especially the notice issued matter will be listed as an after notice matter. The after notice matter, proper hearing will be there. Both the sides, petitioner and the respondent, will be heard, and on that day, after hearing the special leave petition, again the court can dismiss the special leave petition. Otherwise, if on that day the special leave petition is not dismissed, the court will grant leave. That means you are getting a permission. That is called leave. So you will get a leave of the court for filing civil appeal. Then the court will convert that special leave petition into a civil or criminal appeal. If it is a criminal case, it will be listed as a criminal appeal. And the criminal appeal and civil appeals will take its own time for hearing. And normally it will take 5 years, 6 years for hearing a civil appeal, unless it is ordered that the matter needs expedited hearing. Then what about if suppose an SLP is dismissed at the threshold without entering into the merits of the case? That means you are just seeking the leave of the court and the leave is refused. Then as per the Supreme Court judgment, if leave is refused, that itself is not a final order of the Supreme Court. And there is no merger of the High Court judgment with that of the Supreme Court judgment, Supreme Court order. And for that, there is a decision, Kunya Ahmed versus State of Kerala, 2006, Volume 6, SCC 359. In that case, the Supreme Court took the view that since the leave was refused, there is no merger of the High Court judgment with that of the Supreme Court order, and therefore the party aggrieved can file a review petition after the dismissal of this special leave petition before the High Court. So after the dismissal of the Supreme Court, after the dismissal of the SLP by the Supreme Court by one word order dismissed, normally a person will be entitled to file a review petition against the main judgment of the High Court before the High Court and argue it out. And after the disposal of that review petition, again he can file special leave petition. That is the present proposition of law. This has been further fortified by Kodai Distilleries versus Madhav's Vishweshwara Chakra, that 2019 4 SCC 376. Then when you are filing, normally when an aggrieved person is filing a special leave petition, he has to file special leave petition against both the orders. If suppose main judgment, thereafter a review petition order. Normally, a special leave petition will be filed against the main judgment. Main judgment 90 days is there. Then if suppose the party is not approaching within the 90 days and files a review petition before the High Court, again there will be a delay. And if suppose the delay petition is dismissed after 1 year or 2 years, by the time 90 days will elapse, then the party who has to file an SLP against the main judgment, that is within 90 days, an application for condemnation of delay has to be filed there. Then against the review petition, if suppose there is no delay in filing the SLP, then there is no need for filing review petition, delay petition along with that SLP, but you have to file against both the orders. Then comes the power of review of the Supreme Court under 137 of the Constitution, Article 137 of the Constitution. The review petitions is filed in the Supreme Court under Article 137 of the Constitution. And the distinction between the High Court review petition and the Supreme Court review petition. In the High Court, the review petition will be listed before the court for hearing. In Supreme Court, the review petition will be listed in chambers of the judges, not before the court. And the judges who heard and dismissed the SLP again in their chamber and will decide whether notice be issued in that review petition or not. If suppose they took the view that notice be issued in the review petition, they will place the review petition before the court for hearing, further hearing. Just like you know that the Sabarimala issue, review petitions are listed before court and they are hearing the review petitions. That means initially they have to decide it, whether review petitions can be heard in court or not. That is one thing. The review petition has to be filed within 30 days of the date of the dismissal order. If SLP is dismissed with suppose today, then within 30 days of the order, you have to file review petition. And that review petition also, you can file it after the limitation period, that after 30 days by a condemnation application, with a condemnation application. If suppose the judge who heard the SLP or the civil appeal retires before the review petition is listed, then the Supreme Court will nominate another judge in his place and make the judge's number correct. Once the review petition is dismissed, the parties were not having any other remedy before the Supreme Court challenging the order in review. That is the procedure. So therefore, the people used to file writ petitions. After, first they will file SLP. Then, if the SLP is not is not allowed, then they may file a review petition. And against the review petition, the dismissal of the review petition, the parties used to file writ petitions earlier. So this tendency has been curtailed by the Supreme Court by a recent judgment in Rupa Ashok Pura versus Ashok Pura. This judgment is reported in 2002 4 SEC 388. So this in this petition, Supreme Court took the view that when a review petition is dismissed by the Supreme Court, the the order is binding on all the parties, since Supreme Court judgment and orders, Supreme Court judgment is binding on all the parties according to Article 141 of the Constitution. Therefore, Supreme Court said that you cannot challenge the Supreme Court order by way of filing a writ petition. So, Supreme Court granted some relief to the parties aggrieved by the dismissal of the SLP and review petitions. And Supreme Court took the view that the parties can file curative petitions after the dismissal of the special leave petition and review petition. One aggrieved party will get another third chance for filing curative petitions. What is meant by curative petition? That curative petition is just like a review petition, but the number of judges will be more than that heard the review petition and the special leave petition. Suppose the two judges normally review petitions and SLPs are dismissed by two judges, and in that case 4 judges or 5 judges will sit in chambers and hear the curative petition. And the hearing of the curative petition is just like the first initial hearing is by the judges in chambers. No advocate will be allowed to argue the matter in chambers. And they will decide whether this curative petition should be listed for hearing or not. If the curative petition is dismissed, that is the final. That will become the final order and is binding on all the parties. For filing curative petition, 3-4 conditions are to be fulfilled, and on first condition is that it was passed either without jurisdiction or in violation of principles of natural justice. Third one, due to unfair procedure giving scope for perception of bias, which resulted in abuse of process of court or miscarriage of justice to an aggrieved party. These are the grounds on which you can file the curative petition. And along with the curative petition, a senior advocate certificate is also very much needed. He has to certify that this review petition and the SLP involves a question of law which ought to have been considered by the Supreme Court. Then comes the advisory jurisdiction. Advisory jurisdiction, as you know, the advisory jurisdiction of the President under Article 143. The President can seek the opinion of the Supreme Court on a matter of such public importance from the Supreme Court. And when President refers a matter of public importance to the Supreme Court for advice, the Supreme Court will hear the reference by constituting 5 judges bench . Five judges bench to give the opinion on the matter referred. On receipt of the reference, the Attorney General appear and submit the case to the court on behalf of the President. And after hearing the parties, the court will give its opinion to the President. So that is the procedure under Article 143 of the Constitution of India. That is, the President is having the power to seek opinion on a matter from the Supreme Court. Then the original jurisdiction, another side of the original jurisdiction. Earlier I have mentioned about 131 of the Constitution, original jurisdiction. Here another separate part, Article 139 of the Constitution. That means when a question of law of public importance is pending in the Supreme Court or one or more high courts or before two or more high courts, the Attorney General of India or the parties thereof may make an application for transfer of the case to Supreme Court under Article 139 of the Constitution of India. That means, suppose Kerala High Court and the Madras High Court, some petitions are pending on this similar issue, then one can file a transfer petition to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court will hear that transfer petition under 139 of the Constitution of India. For example, we have to refer this Mullaperiyar matter. Some petitions were filed by people there in the Madras High Court and Kerala High Court, and that petitions were transferred to Supreme Court at that time. Then here in in Sabarimala issue and this Aadhaar issue, all these cases transferred to Supreme Court, and then Supreme Court will hear the matters instead of different judgments by different high courts coming in the field, and that should be avoided by this kind of transfer under 139A of the Constitution of India. Then this is a section 35 of the Civil Procedure Code. Civil cases, suppose a civil case is pending in Kerala High Court, the party wants to transfer that matter to Madras High Court. He can invoke the jurisdiction of the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court under Section 25 CPC. So the civil case or criminal case, one can approach, not civil, criminal cases. This is only civil cases. Civil cases you can file under Section 25 CPC. Then matrimonial disputes, normally matrimonial cases pending in different high court, different family courts. Normally, persons aggrieved will be filed transfer petitions in the Supreme Court for transferring one matrimonial case from one high court to another high court. Then comes 406 CRPC. That's also transfer of cases, criminal cases. Some criminal cases, the court will entertain transfer for expediency of the justice. The power to transfer criminal cases and appeals pending in one high court to another high court, or criminal court pending in a subordinate court to another high court, another criminal trial court can be filed under 406 of the CRPC. Then the original jurisdiction under Article 71 of the Constitution. See, election petitions of President and Vice President should be filed in the Supreme Court instead of High Court. All other election petitions are normally be filed in high courts. The election petition of an MLA will we can file election petition in the High Court. Here, the president election and vice president's election can be challenged only in the Supreme Court under Article 71 of the Constitution. Therefore, filing certain norms are there by any candidate, contested candidate, means who was not elected can file election petition, or by 20 or more electorates joined together as petitioners can file election petition against the president's election. Vice president is also same. By 20 or more electorates joined together as petitioners. Article 317. That means removal and suspension of members of Public Service Commission. This is also original jurisdiction. Chairman, any other member of Public Service Commission be removed by the order of the President on the ground of misbehavior. After the Supreme Court, on reference to it by the President, held an inquiry under Article 145. That means President will seek the opinion of the Supreme Court under this article, and Supreme Court will have to give its opinion whether there is any ground for removal of this member from the Public Service Commission. That is Article 1. Article 317. Then the chamber judges cases. Chamber judges, according to the Supreme Court rules, chamber judges are judges. Suppose a single judge is sitting, and that court is called chamber judge. So chamber judge is also having some jurisdiction. Bail petitions, and transfer petitions can be decided by the chamber judges now, according to the Supreme Court latest rules. Then comes the registrar's court. Registrar's judicial side will sit for considering the procedure formalities of the Supreme Court, whether a counter has been filed or rejoinder has been filed. All these things will be for looking into these aspects. The case will be listed before the registrar courts. So 3-4 registrar's courts are there in the Supreme Court. They will decide. And after completing all the formalities, the after notice matters will be listed before the court. So in between, the registrar's court will look into the filing of the counter, rejoinder, and all other documents. So completion of the proceedings will be looked into by the registrars, and registrars are district judge rank persons are appointed as registrars of the Supreme Court. So that is the registrar court. If suppose you are filing a petition, an application in a dismissed matter, some applications can also be filed in a dismissed matter instead of filing a review petitions. If suppose a party is filing an application, then the court will, the registry will take objection, because this kind of applications you cannot file, because the remedy is under Article 137 by way of filing review petitions. Therefore, they will not register the application first. They will put up before that application before the registrar. Then registrar will look into that application whether it should be registered or not. Sometimes the registrar will reject that application in a disposed, if it is filed in the disposed matter. So that application, if it is rejected by the registrar, then it will be termed as the application has been lodged. If an application is lodged, then the party will get a right to file appeal against that order, registrar's order. Registrar's order lodging the application can be challenged by way of filing an appeal before the Supreme Court. So these are the procedural side of the Supreme Court. I think that I have explained most of the articles regarding the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court and its procedure. That is the conclusion.
ഇനി എന്തെങ്കിലും ഡൗട്ട്സ് ഉണ്ടെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് ഞാൻ എല്ലാരെയും ഒന്ന് അൺമ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാം. അപ്പോൾ ഉണ്ടെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ സാറേ നമ്മളെ ഈ ഓറിയോ വേണോ? ഓറിയോ ഓഡിയോ അല്ല, വേണ്ടുന്നവരെ ഒന്ന് ഹാൻഡ് റൈസ് ചെയ്താൽ മതി, ഞാൻ അൺമ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാം. നോക്കിയിട്ട്
ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഒന്നും
വന്നിട്ടില്ല സാറേ. ഒരു ഈ അഡ്മിറാലിറ്റി ജൂറിസ്ഡിക്ഷനെ കുറിച്ച് എന്തെങ്കിലും നമുക്ക് അവിടുത്തെ കാര്യങ്ങളൊന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റുമോ സാറേ? അഡ്മിറാലിറ്റിയുടെ ഹൈ സീയിലുള്ള
Admiralty jurisdiction is exercised by the High Court. See, in Kerala High Court is an admiralty court. Therefore, one has to file admiralty suits before the Kerala High Court. Here, directly, you cannot file anything with regard to that. First of all, High Court will decide it, and against that order, one has to come to the Supreme Court. These Italian ships in the case, Marines, Italian Marines in the case, all not by way of admiralty jurisdiction. Here, there is no direct admiralty jurisdiction.
Wow.
High Court, Madras High Court, Madras High Court, Kerala High Court are all having admiralty jurisdiction. That is.
സാർ പറഞ്ഞ ആ കേസിനകത്ത് തന്നെ ഇപ്പം അത് ഇവിടുന്ന് അങ്ങോട്ട് എടുത്തിട്ട് പിന്നെ അതിന്റെ സ്റ്റേജ് എന്താണെന്ന് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാവാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചത്. ആ കേസ് തന്നെ റെഫർ ചെയ്ത് തന്നെ ചോദിച്ചത്.
അത് പെൻഡിങ് ആണ് കേസ്. അതിപ്പോ അവര് ബെയിലിൽ വിട്ടല്ലോ. അവര് ബെയിലിൽ വിട്ടിട്ട് പിന്നെ അതിൽ അക്യൂസ്ഡ് പേഴ്സൺസിനെ ബെയിലിൽ വിട്ടിരിക്കുക. അത് ജസ്റ്റ് ലൈക്ക് ക്രിമിനൽ മാറ്റർ ആണ്. അഡ്മിറാലിറ്റിയിൽ വരുന്നതല്ല. അത് ഹൈ സീയിൽ വെച്ചിട്ട് നിങ്ങളെ ഇത് വന്നല്ലേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഐ സിയിൽ വെച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കൊലപാതകമായ ആണ് അത്. വെദർ ദാറ്റ് ഹാസ് ഹാപ്പൻഡ് ഇൻസൈഡ് ദി ടെറിട്ടോറിയൽ ജൂറിസ്ഡിക്ഷൻ ഓഫ് ഇന്ത്യ ഓർ നോട്ട്, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ദി ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ. They have taken
സർ പ്രശാന്ത് പത്മനാഭൻ കോടതിയിലെ ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ചോദിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്.
ചോദിക്കട്ടെ.
Sir, your presentation was excellent and it was very exhaustive. I just wanted to tell you one thing, that recently now single judges are also sitting for hearing transfer petitions and SLP against bail.
Yes, I have explained it.
Yeah, so I thought I will mention that.
Yes, that I have explained.
Okay.
Already I have explained recently that single judge, that means chamber judges are hearing bail petitions and transfer petitions. Yeah. That is the jurisdiction conferred to.
No, there could be a question whether there will be some appeal against that order or it will be final.
That is the final. So how can it be that say appeal can't be filed against that order? It's a order of the Supreme Court. How can no appeal will be?
There is no intra-court appeal.
No intra-court. The bail transfer bail suppose a bail application is dismissed, how can you file an appeal against that order? It's not possible. Just like that transfer petition, transfer is refused, you cannot take up an appeal to two judge bench. Intra-court appeals are not allowed in Supreme Court. Only reference is allowed. So if 2 judges are of the view that it should be referred, then it will be referred to 3 judges.
Yeah.
Then, 3 judges can refer it to a constitutional bench. Constitutional bench normally will sit in 5 judges, and sometimes the 5 judges are of the view that it should be heard by 7 judges. Then they will refer it to 7 judges, just like our this matter, this Sabarimala issue.
That is an exception, but usually you have explained the review and the curative. Review and curative you have explained.
Yeah, curative petition is there. That the curative petition, you cannot file writ petitions. Of course, in
you can file a review and then after review.
So many writ petitions are filed against this this matter, this Sabarimala matter, and they are all entertained by the Supreme Court and tagged along with the review petitions now.
That is not actually that writ petition will not lie as per
Yeah, because once they have made a Supreme Court judgment that nothing, no order can be challenged in writ petition, then why should they allow this kind of writ petitions? That this former Chief Justice has done a mistake in entertaining this kind of writ petitions along with the review petitions.
They are not admitted; they are just tagged along with it.
Yes, of course. That should not. It should have been dismissed at the threshold.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
Sir, I continue.
Where are you? You are in Delhi?
Delhi, sir. Delhi.
Okay.
Yes, a continuation on the present question itself. If a bail is granted, whether the prosecution can file any petition to cancel that bail
In Supreme Court, of course.
If it is granted by the
cancellation should be cancellation. You cannot file a cancellation of a bail application in the Supreme Court. If a bail application is pending, the respondent side will be heard before granting bail. Normally, they will not grant bail to the persons when a bail petition is filed. You can file a reply, and the reply will be heard. So once bail application, one can file any number of petitions. If bail is granted, it can be party aggrieved. Sometimes may approach the Supreme Court for cancellation of that bail. That is also possible. One can file. But the entertaining that kind of petitions will be very, very, chances are very bleak.